Today we will discuss Proteolytic Texture, or some people they also call is Proteolytic Texture. What it has a difficult name, but it is very easy to understand this texture. The subject is petrography, and my name is Dr. Harun. Today we will continue to see some of the inequigranular textures as we are doing it. The main idea is mutual relationship of crystals and inequigranular textures. So the idea for Proteolytic or Proteolytic texture is that it has two parts. It has a large crystal, and it has small crystals that are embedded into the large crystal. You can say that it is just like a large bread that you use for pizza, and the bread is not visible. यहाँ पर आपको black नजर आ रहा है, but it is actually a grain. That is a big ogite grain, pyroxene का एक grain है जो यहाँ पर present है. And then you have these olivines coming in, just like you have the filling, the top filling by different elements on a pizza. Similarly, the style for Proteolytic texture is the same. Hence the bread, that is the place जिसके ऊपर ये different grains present हैं, उसको हम कहते हैं, let's see what it is called. That is called the ochiocryst or enclosing crystal, and the crystals are called as chadacrysts. So chadacrysts are those crystals that are embedded on the ochiocryst. So the basal crystal is ochiocryst. Maybe it will be more easily understandable by this diagram. You see, this is a yellow crystal, and this is a pyroxene crystal, okay? And now you see small crystals of plagioclase that are embedded in this big larger crystal. So this texture is Proteolytic texture, in which smaller crystals are embedded in a larger crystal, or smaller crystals are enclosed in a larger crystal. We call that texture as Proteolytic texture. We will see today different examples of Proteolytic texture, and it is normally, it can be said as said to be the main primary mineral on which different mineral crystals are present. Here we have an example from Proteolytic enclosure of olivine crystal by augite. So augite is not visible, that is black in color, and it is at extinction in this cross polarized view. Maybe when you go to plane polarized view, you can see that pyroxene. And here you have more than 100 crystals of olivine. All of these crystals, you see beautiful fracture pattern in these crystals and various colors. These all are the crystals, we call them as olivine. Let's see the other example. Here you have big plagioclase crystal. Plagioclase crystal you can identify easily. They have light and dark bands, light and dark bands, light and dark bands. Similarly here, and the yellow crystals, the larger crystals, are actually the ground mass. They seems to be like ground mass, but they are actually crystals, and they can be orange color, they can be yellow color, okay? And most of these, this is also guide, and you see you have different sizes of plagioclase crystals, and sometimes they are arranged like clots. जैसे कल हमने बात की थी Sometimes the crystals, they grow from one position and then they try to radiate from that position. Similarly, here you can see some plots that some crystals are organized in the form of some pattern like a radial arrangement. Then we see other example. Here you have Proteolytic texture, and you have large plagioclase crystals, and we have the small olivine crystals. And this is the, if you see the brown color, जो आपको पीछे background में brown color नजर आ रहा है, that is all augite. So augite is the main ochiocryst, and these are the chedacrysts. We just saw that those crystals which are embedded in the ochiocryst are called the chedacrysts. And here, this is another example of Proteolytic texture. This is another fine example. You can see a big crystal here and another big crystal here, and you see embedded uh, crystals of olivine, and these crystals are olivine, and the background crystal is actually a plagioclase. So plagioclase in this case will be ochiocryst, and the olivine will be the chedacrysts, or the crystals, the xenocryst you can also call them. These are the some of the examples. Then comes the ophitic texture. Ophitic texture is very similar to Proteolytic texture or Proteolytic texture. It is just, the difference lies in that in ophitic texture, one crystal encloses most of the other mineral crystals. Just like, see, this is one crystal that you have, and that olivine crystal is actually enclosing the plagioclase crystals. Like all the chedacrysts are enclosed in this ochiocryst. Oh, this is another example of ophotic texture. It is actually a variation of Proteolytic texture or Proteolytic texture, and this example is from the for the dolerite. Dolerite is actually a rock that forms very close to the surface of Earth, just like hypabasal rock, you can call it. Okay. Okay. The purple here is the mafic, and the purple another orange interface. The other mafic mirror picture is oogite showing a purple interference. This is an oogite here. Let's see another example of Proteolytic or Proteolytic texture in olivine gabbro, and you can say that here we have the uh, large crystals, and it can be called as ophitic because these large crystals are enclosed with the bigger crystal, and this is actually the feldspar crystals, and we have equant olivine, and this is a large augite crystal. This is a large augite crystal, and these are some of the olivine crystals that are equant shape. And you see some clotty pattern as some of the crystals, they are arranged some radial patterns, and you can call them as some clots. Another example of emitted texture in olivine basalt, and it shows to you or seems to you as mottled appearance. And here we have more than 50 augite crystals that are present in this particular thin section, and most of these thin sections they also have bladed, you see small crystals here. These crystals are actually the bladed plagioclase crystals, and overall the appearance of this texture is mottled. Mottled means that you see it's like a dirty appearance, and it is not clear, and you have some of these olivine crystals, and also the plagioclase crystals, and at the back you have the augite crystal, that is the background crystals, and they are like around 50 of the crystals that are present here. Similarly, another example of ophimated texture or ophimetal texture, and you have bigger feldspar grains, plagioclase feldspar grains, and then you have the olivine crystals here, and they are actually enclosed in the ground mass, and you can say that there can be the presence of crystals that can be like the glassy type of crystals, because this is the basalt and maybe they represent rapid cooling. Well, that's all for today. Today we wanted to discuss about the Petroglyptic or Petriolytic texture, and in one line we can say that it is actually a background crystal. Just like you had a photo background, it's like a background crystal that has other crystals that are like grow on it, and this seems to be filling in texture just like this, and then you have the crystals growing above.